Okay, to start with we're going to remove battery cover, so let's use an 8mm socket and undo these 3 bolts on the top. One, two, that's 3 bolts out. Remove your weather strip. Then down here, just use a flathead screwdriver. Undo that screw. Okay, so that's that out. And then there's just this bolt here, which is a 10mm from memory. And 10mm. Two 10mm. Okay, so watch you don't drop these bolts out. This one's a little loose on mine. I managed to save that. That just hooks in under there. Okay, so next off there's a 10mm bolt just here. It's a bit awkward to get to. Let's undo that. Okay, so that's your battery disconnected. Okay, so once that bolt's off, and you can lift this up, it's worth just sticking a towel or an old cloth or something underneath, just to stop that from making a connection again. So now your electric should be off. Okay, so now we've got the battery disconnected. Remember to always do that and then give it 20 minutes or so for all the charge in the car to disperse. Just because there's an explosive in the airbag, you don't want to set that off accidentally in your face, because that's not going to be a nice experience. So this is the trickiest part, and looking up the BMW instructions, it's not any more helpful, but I'll show you when the steering wheel's off the car. But basically you get a Torx 225 bit, and there's a hole underneath the steering wheel, one here and one here, and what you're doing is pushing that Torx bit in, and if we just take this off, what you're doing is actually pressing this metal bar out the way. So if you look at the steering wheel there, if you're pushing the screwdriver up, it's going to push against that and release it. Same here, it's going to push against this and release it, and same this side. So that was the trickiest bit. And then you've got these 2 connectors here and here that you just unplug, and that's your airbag off. So it's one of the trickiest airbags I've had to take off on all my Minis, so just persevere and give it a go. Then this is a 16mm bolt that you just remove. So I've already broken that, so don't worry, it wasn't that loose. I'd already broken that off before I started filming. You take that main bolt out, and you can see I've got the steering wheel centered. There's a little notch on the steering wheel and a little notch actually on the spindle inside, so you shouldn't have too many issues with alignment with fitting your new steering wheel. So now just give it a wiggle backwards and forwards, and that should, there you go. So that's nice and loose now. So what do we need to do? Disconnect this clip here. Okay, so I'm going to just take a pair of pliers to get a good grip, so you can just pull that out there and disconnect that. Then that should be enough. So wiggle your steering wheel backwards and forwards to get it off, and that's it, off the car. So it's as simple as that. So like I say, the most complicated bit will be removing your airbag. That is definitely the worst bit. So you can see there, let's bring the camera in, there's a little notch just there, and we line that up with the steering wheel so we know that we get the steering wheel nice and straight. Let's hook that camera back in place. Now for fitting your new steering wheel, simply line up that notch and that notch. That's back on. Clip your clip in place. That's just for your multifunction steering wheel, so that'll work. Okay, then we need to grab our bolt that we took out, do that back up, finger tight first, bring it down slightly so I can get my knees into it, and then tighten that. Unfortunately, because of there's no steering wheel lock on some of the previous generations, you've got to do that as tight as you can. That's not going anywhere now. That's nice and solid, so that's good. Okay, so next step, we're going to get the airbag back on the car. So we clip in the two connectors. So clip the big one in. Doesn't really matter which order you do it in, but clip the big one in first. And you can see we've got this little clip here. So just check the shape of that. That goes in that way. A nice tug. That's nice and snug. That's in. That's in, so that's everything connected, because I don't want to be taking this airbag off again, because it is definitely, like I say, the most trickiest part of the installation. Okay, so that's your airbag. Just check it's all locked in. That seems absolutely fine. Steering wheel all in place. So next step, so if you're happy with that, no movement, airbag, go back under the bonnet and reconnect the battery. Okay, so it's time to reconnect the battery. So remove whatever you put there to block it, put it over, and take your 10mm spanner, do that back up. So unfortunately this is the only way, you can't really use a socket. There's not enough room to get a socket in there. You're just going to have to use the end of your spanner to be able to do that up. Everything's all fine, that's nice and tight, that's not going anywhere. So we're ready to get this cowling back on. I did notice that was a bit loose on mine, which is a bit odd. So maybe the previous owners had this off in the past. I'll just have to be cautious of that. Okay, so you want to stick this back in place. So lift this up. Make sure your bolt comes through the top there. Okay, so we've done those 10mm bolts up at the back. They're done and in. Put these 8mm screws back in. 2, 3. One. 2. 3. This cap popped off on mine, so let's double check the way that fits. That just clips back in. On. Then last bit, don't forget to do this back up. Now that's your batch cover back in. Final step is your weather strip. Okay, so that's back in all the way along. That's your battery done back up and you're ready to go. If you found this video useful, please hit the like and subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.